We have another Ant-Man spotting, this time in his natural habitat. But what's this? It's his greatest weakness. Will Ant-Man make it? Stay tuned. What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and in that intro you saw Ant-Man's most feared weapon, his greatest weakness, the magnifying glass. But in this video we're going to take a look at the Spec Ops 28 weapon set, also known as the Formican Set. First though, I want to give a special thank you to Agent Seraph One, who's helped bring you this video. So let's hear it for him. Now before we look at this set in action, we're going to examine each piece individually. So let's begin with the very first set piece, the antenna. You can see right away that the antenna has a lot of different properties and effects. They don't even fit on the screen, but it is a single target tech attack. It does do damage, and it has ants as a special property. Ant attacks have a high chance to crit and do not trigger counter or retaliation effects. It also counts as a summon ability. Then it is stealthy and it's going to cause cornered and impaired. Now with two pieces of the set, so one additional set piece, it adds neutralized and off balance. With 3 staggered and winded. And with 4 pieces of the set equipped, it will gain exhausted and become a quick action. So basically with all 4 pieces you're going to have an opportunist debuff machine. And it'll be a stealthy quick action. That's incredible with the mandible, as we'll see, as well as with any exploit opportunity hero or weapon. But next within this set we have the Stinger. It's a tech ranged electric attack. It causes biofeedback, but with another piece of the set, it's going to add distraction and reduce potential. That prevents them from using a random set of ability types. So depending on what it places on them, and what the hero's abilities are, it could completely lock them down. Still, in my opinion, it's not worth using over the mandible. Speaking of which, it's a melee tech attack that exploits opportunity, then with another set piece, it gains finest hour. Well, all the agent's tech attacks gain finest hour. Then it has a chance to follow up against targets with ant pheromone, and has a chance to counter. Plus, it places ant pheromone on the attacked enemy. Ant pheromone increases damage and causes single target attacks against this target to have a chance to follow up. That will go for your entire team. So even anti-venom could potentially follow up on a target with ant pheromone. That is after he uses a single target attack. All in all, this is a fairly strong weapon. And once again, they've made a pretty decent 64 gold item. Don't worry though, we'll see it in action and we'll get into some of the weaknesses with this set as well. But for the final Formican set piece, we have the Carapace. This has special functionality so it cannot be activated manually. But what it does is places combat data on an enemy when they attack, and that lowers their evasion. Then with 2 pieces of the set, it applies tech upgrade for the agent. With 3 pieces of the set, it applies a tech upgrade action for the entire team. And with all 4 pieces, it's going to grant your agent cybernetic. That makes him immune to bleeding, burning, chilled, and obsolete tech. Plus it grants him a very high crit resistance. So because of all this, we're going to go ahead and switch to a bruiser safeguard suit and make our agent a protector. Then we'll go ahead and jump into our first battle and use anti-venom with Ant-Man. So yeah, Ant Week continues. It doesn't even confine itself to 1 calendar week. But there won't be any ant puns in this one, so don't worry. If you want to make your own, then go ahead and post them in the comment section below. Alright, now as far as the Carapace, you actually have to use it to apply tech upgrade. Luckily it is a free action, so we'll go ahead and do that first. Now that's going to apply it to the entire team. That comes with having 3 pieces of the set. So here you can see Anti-Venom and Ant-Man both have the buff. This could actually come in really handy if you're building a tech team. So say you want to use Fixer and Victor Mancha for example. This would definitely help them out. Then after using that free action, you'll want to use the antenna as a quick action. And since it's stealthy, we can use it on any enemy. We're going to use it on the enemy agent, first off to heavily debuff them and set up the mandible. Plus, you'll see another great reason to use this item. One of the debuffs that it will apply is staggered, so cannot dodge most attacks, and ignores most avoidance effects. This includes Watchful Eye, so even though the enemy agent's using the Hugin's Eye, we can still hit them with an unarmed attack, as long as they're staggered. But of course the main thing is all those opportunist debuffs. It really helps out exploit opportunity attacks, like that of the Mandible, and right away we knock out the enemy agent with a huge non-crit. So like I said, the Mandible is definitely a pretty worthy weapon, one that if you can, you should definitely build it. As far as paying 64 gold for it, well, I'm not going to exactly say yes. It's a really close call, but before we further our discussion on that, I first want to show you I Am the Cure. This attack also has Opportunist and a 60% chance to depower. You may notice that we've added the Calamitous AISO to it, and so now it's catastrophic. That makes Anti-Venom even better, and he ends up being a fantastic team up for Ant-Man, and he would be for any Opportunist hero, or as a team up with Hybrid and so on. But back to the Mandible, the fact that it has Exploit Opportunity, a counterattack, and causes Ant Pheromone, which will cause any single target attack to have a chance to get a follow-up, well, that does make it a pretty worthwhile weapon. Now with any other set piece, it does cause all the agent's tech attacks to gain Finest Hour. That would apply to a very long list. The Coulson's Revenge, the Cosmic Cardinal, and so on. What that means is with two pieces of this set, say the Antenna and the Mandible, you can have some additional options as far as team building and your equipment setup for your agent. The problem is the Antenna and the Mandible work best when the Antenna is a quick action, and it won't be unless you have all 4 set pieces. So that's one of the first things about it that I don't like. However, using those 2 pieces together will give you Finest Hour, and then the Mandible will be very similar to Ant-Man's level 6 Pint-Sized Surprise. That attack also has Exploit Opportunity and Finest Hour, so teaming these 2 up with Iron Fist, or even someone like Heimdall that can grant Rising Up buffs, will really help you pack a punch. So there's a few additional options as far as team building with the Formican set. You have Opportunist, you have the Tech Angle, and you have Finest Hour. However, one of the other biggest weaknesses about using the entire set is if you face someone with the Mystic Shroud or the Mighty Shroud, you'll be very limited in what you can do. Basically, you'll just use something like the Mandible or the Stinger, and then you have to wait until that wears off. Now, if you're facing someone like the Invisible Woman, and she has a circulating EISO, the wait could be even longer. You better bring someone with Shield Breaker for that case. So, the Mandible by itself is a pretty good weapon. The Carapace doesn't really get that good until it gains Cybernetic, and you have to have all 4 pieces for that. With 2 pieces though, it's an okay option, maybe with the Mandible. The other 2-piece option of course would be the Antenna and the Mandible, but then the Antenna wouldn't be a quick action, so not only would that slow you down, it wouldn't apply Staggered, Winded, or Exhausted, so you definitely have a difficult decision ahead of you. It's one of those sets where you'll want to use all the items, but then you can't use the cube or another really essential piece of equipment, and that could be a serious problem. Like I said, it's going to delay you against the Mystic or Mighty Shroud, and that could ultimately cost you the match. My honest advice would be try to build the Mandible as fast as you can and build that first. Don't even worry about the Stinger. Hopefully you win the Carapace for free from the daily roulette, and then of course the Antenna comes from the task list. If you're asking me, I wouldn't spend any additional gold on this set, but if you are lacking in weapons, the Mandible is a solid buy. Remember though, you can build it for 24 components, which you can get for free in the Spec Ops missions, from boss rewards, or from deploys. And at the very least you should get as many as you possibly can, then buy the remaining few for 3 gold each. That should ultimately cut down that 64 gold price tag quite a bit, if not entirely. So that is a very nice option that PD added, and you should take advantage of it. Plus you'll want to farm these missions anyways because of all the AISO that you can get. So that's going to be my basic tips and suggestions for the Formican set. And as far as the brand new AISO, I am going to take those that I've won so far and make some videos using the heroes with their brand new AISO. I do think there's some really worthwhile improvements, at least for some of the heroes. So we will definitely check that out. Also, the very next video is going to be Spider-Man Noir in PvP. And yes, one of the team-ups will be with Union Jack. So for everyone asking about him, that is coming next. As for this one, we're coming to the end, so I want to thank you all for watching and ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. Then until next time, good luck and take care.